Hello everybody, I'm Dave Goodwin with Original Privateer. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the pain in our life or things that we struggle with. How is it that some people push past the pain, whether it's related to, could be anything, relationships, marriages, could be racing, could be motocross, could be anything in life, or maybe they have envisions on their life going a certain direction and it didn't happen and it kind of kicked them into a depression, or they deal with anxiety or different things like that. How is it that some people are able to push past it and get on with their life in a more positive fashion, or actually become better people because of their pain in life or their trials and tribulations? How is it that they're able to push forward and actually find pleasure on the other side of all that pain, or allow their faith to work for them in a way that the pain actually makes them become a stronger person? You know, that which does not kill you makes you stronger. What does that mean exactly? But what happens when what happens for the person that just keeps going from pain to pain, relationship to relationship, and experiencing the same whether you call it failures or same results, and coming up short? Or maybe somebody that's racing motorcycles or cars keeps coming up short. They're just not making those gains. What's the difference between that and the person that does find success? So we're going to talk about contrast, okay? Where does all that happen at? What separates a winner, say, from a loser, or winning from losing? What separates a positive experience from a negative, or pain and pleasure? What separates that? If we want to go into a spiritual sense, what's the opposite of faith? What is against faith? Fear, right? Fear is the culprit behind so many of our issues. I know the things that I struggle with there's fear. There's fear behind that. Fear is the enemy. Fear is what whispers to you. Fear is what gives you doubt. Fear is what gives you anxiety. Fear is what gives you worry. Fear is what gives you depression. Fear is what gives you insecurity. Faith, on the other hand, believing and trusting in something and acting on it and focusing on the right things, gives you security. It gives you positivity. It gives you life. It gives you awesomeness. It gives you passion. It gives you intimacy. But what determines that? Is it the way we're born? Is it who we are? Is it what we wear, or how much money we have, or what our education is, how many degrees we have? Actually, it's none of the above. It has nothing to do with external things. It has nothing to do with who we're married to or who we're not married to, or what kind of a motorcycle we ride, or what kind of motorcycle we don't ride, what sponsorships we may have or not have, or how much money we have, or what degrees we have. It has nothing to do with that. We're going to talk about that. So what does it have to do with? It has everything to do with, right here, your mind, or better known as your soul. It has everything to do with your mind. It's all in the invisible realm. And that changes everything if we can have a little bit of understanding of that. It even changes your spirituality. You know, why is it that some people's faith, the faith that they have or the spirituality they have, why do you see them shine with it? Why do you see them overcome and overcome, defeat and overcome, defeat and overcome? And others that have been going to church for years, for example, or reading the Bible for years, or whatever, fall short and experience one failure after another, whether it's marriage, whether it's their hobbies, whether it's their relationships, their different events in their life. What is the difference? The difference is what they know, and what they know about how the mind works. That is the difference. I'm going to try not to get too technical and make this too long, but we have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind, okay? The unconscious mind is big. It's huge. It's like a hard drive on a computer. That's where everything is stored. Okay, everything is stored in the hard drive. And what is stored there? Our life is stored there. How we responded to situations is stored there. Our breakups with relationships is stored there. Our heartaches with relationships is stored there. Our loss, our influences in life, who we learned from, who we didn't learn from, our failures, our successes, where we won, where we lost. All of those things are stored there, in there. So that's our subconscious, right? And that's how we operate. All those ways that we operate naturally and we don't know why, like we just react a certain way, it's because of how we created our own program. But let me tell you something, and this is super important. You were born to win. But we program ourselves a lot of times to lose. And if we don't understand how and why we do that, we'll never change. We want change, but we'll never change. We always think, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. I'm with the wrong person. I need to be with this person. That's going to fix it. No. Nobody can fix it but you. Okay? Nobody can fix Dave right here but Dave. Okay? No, there ain't a pastor in the world that can fix Dave. There ain't a psychologist in the world that can fix Dave. They may be able to influence Dave. They may be able to give Dave knowledge or wisdom, but only Dave can apply it and use it and make that change, okay? So it doesn't matter the external things, the other person, how much money you have, don't have. Those things have nothing to do with your change. What has everything to do with your change is yourself, your mind, who you are, how you think, what you focus on. Because ultimately, what your perspective is in life, what you focus on in life becomes your reality, okay? So if you're focusing on all your pain right now, well, guess what? Your reality is pain. If you're focusing on all the great in your life, all the good in your life, if you're focusing on truth, if you're focusing on your spirituality, if you're focusing on what Scripture says, that's going to be your reality, okay? But faith is the believing and trusting. Faith is the action of your belief and your trust. So you can say you have faith, but if you're not believing and trusting, then perhaps your faith isn't as strong as you think, and that could be the reason you're not getting the changes you want to see. You're not finding the pleasure in life, and you're experiencing so much pain. Now, pain can be a motivator for us too. We can learn from pain. You know, maybe every relationship you've ever had has been painful, right? So what's the first thing you think of when you think about a relationship? Pain. So what are you going to do? You're going to either avoid pain or you're going to push through the pain, right? How do you expect to change for the better if you're constantly going to avoid that pain, right? Well, if you're on the motocross track, if you find pain in mixing it up in that first corner or maybe hitting that big triple, if you find pain in it when you think about it, where does that pain come from? Our subconscious mind, because that's how we programmed ourselves. We had a bad experience or bad experiences. So when we think about hitting that triple or going into that first corner, three stock cars wide, and we back out of it, why do we back out of it? It's because we have programmed ourselves. We were born to win, but we programmed ourselves to lose. So what happens is we've thought that way so much, failure, pain, that when the thought of going into a corner 3 wide or the thought of making that relationship work, what happens? That pain comes up from our subconscious mind, and here's where people can push through it or people can't, is if they know how to use their mind. Have you ever heard the expression, change your mind? We got to change our mind. We're either pulling from a source of fear and pain, or we're pulling from a source of truth and faith. It's one or the other. That's where we're pulling from. We're either pulling from a source of truth and faith, or we're pulling from a source of fear and pain. And ultimately, where our focus is at is how our life will be. It doesn't matter who you're with. It doesn't matter how big your house is, or how small it is, or how much money you have, or what job you have or don't have. Sure, all those things are an influence on us, but ultimately the problem is right here, underneath that motorcycle helmet, or underneath that stock car helmet, or underneath this beanie cap I'm wearing. The problem is within us. The answer is within us. But we have to understand how to use our minds. We have to quit associating certain things with pain. We have to push through pain and hit it head on, okay? We have to think about the pain of not mixing it up in that first corner, the pain of always having bad results. When it comes to relationships, we have to think about the pain of not pushing through it and moving on to the next relationship that the same cycle is going to start over with. Or whatever it is in life. Maybe it's addiction, maybe it's the way you feel about yourself. The pain has to become great enough that we have to quit avoiding it and take a stand on our life, okay? Take a stand on your life and push through it. And when we push through it, that's where we begin to rewire our subconscious mind. But where does that push through it happen at? The conscious mind. So what happens is when you have a thought right now, take a second. For those of you that are thinking out there, I'm going to challenge you right here. For those of you that are struggling with some things right now, I don't care what it is in your life. Maybe you heard about a medical diagnosis. Maybe you have relationship issues. Maybe somebody pissed you off. Maybe you're struggling with your body. Maybe you're thinking about your future and you have anxiety. Maybe you're worrying about something. I want you right now to think about what thoughts you're having. What are you focusing on? Okay? If you're focusing on things that create pain, worry, anxiety, depression, okay, think about that focus. That thought pops into your head. Well, guess how you programmed yourself? The way that you respond to a problem or the way that you react to your thought ultimately becomes your life. It isn't so much the problems in your life. It isn't so much the things that have happened to you or haven't happened to you. It's how you respond to them. So do you respond to them from a sense of pain that you avoid? Or do you respond to them from a sense of faith and trust? How do you respond to them? It's going to be one or the other. It's going to be, you're going to respond out of fear, which creates worry, anxiety, depression, pain. Or are you going to respond out of truth and faith? The choice is yours. That's what it's called, free will. It's a decision. It's a choice. But where that choice happens at is in our conscious mind. So that's why we got to be able to learn to use our mind, because we can overpower that associated thought that comes up from our programming, the way we've always thought, right? We've always failed here. We've always failed here. So we associate pain, hurt, and failure to it. But how do we change that associated feeling that comes up from our programming or our subconscious mind? How do we change that when we've had it for so long? We change it by learning how to use our mind. That's what these videos are for. How to learn your mind, how to have consciousness, how to use your conscious mind and realize that you have the power to overcome anything in your life. And it all happens in your thought life. It all happens what you focus on. What your perspective is in life. If you feel like you're never going to have a successful relationship, if you feel like you're never going to be a successful racer, or you're never going to have these things in life, that's what your perspective is going to be. You have to change your perspective, change how you think, and change what you're focusing on. Because ultimately what your perspective is becomes your reality. What you focus on becomes your reality. So you must ask yourself what you're focusing on. So when that thought pops into your mind, what are you doing with it? The time that thought pops in your mind, you know when you're downloading something on a computer, you know the bar that's coming across and you're waiting, 20%, 30%, 40%, that is when you have to intercept that thought. Because what's happening is when you're thinking about that negative thought, the failure or the pain, you're downloading that, right? So what's happening is once that's downloading, once it's done downloaded, it'll take root in you, and then you begin thinking about it. That's where worry comes in, anxiety, fear, ultimately depression. That's where failure comes from. So as it's downloading, remember that bar when you're downloading something, that's the area that you have to intercept it with what? It's a choice. You can intercept it with pain and loss and failure, which is all fear-based, or you can actually change your life by thinking about faith, what is true, what is noble, what is right, and understand that you have the power to overcome through your mind. through your conscious mind. But if you never learn how to use your conscious mind, everything that comes up from your programming, remember, you were born to win, but you program yourself to lose. Everything that comes from that, from programming yourself to lose, is going to bring those same feelings up. Failure, I'm not good enough, I'm not skinny enough, my boobs aren't big enough, I'm too skinny, I'm not fast enough, I don't have enough money, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not sexy enough, I'm not smart enough. All those negative feelings are going to come up, and that's what leads to failure, and that's what leads to you not overcoming in life. But if you change that and interrupt that, you interrupt it with truth, the truth of life, okay? In faith, you believe in that truth, you trust that truth, and that's where faith happens, and that's where change occurs. But if you spend your time talking to the wrong people, for example, if you talk to somebody that has just as weak a thinking as you do, or you're getting bad advice, or you're talking to, misery likes company, don't forget that. Misery likes company. You need to find somebody that's going to make you uncomfortable, okay? But uncomfortable from a source of truth. Encouraging, but uncomfortable. Because you get nowhere if you stay in your comfort zone. You got to get out of that box, and you got to hit pain head on and push through it. That is the only way. You have to take a stand on your life, okay? It will not change. The years will go by. You'll get older. You'll have more failures if you don't take a stand on your life. But you're not going to take a stand on your life if you don't educate yourself and learn new ways of doing things. How can the same thinking that got you into this shit show be the same thinking that gets you out of it? Think about that. How can the same thinking that got you in this shit show be the same thinking that gets you out of it? So what do you have to do? Educate yourself. But you have to educate yourself with the right material, with the right knowledge that is based on truth, not fear-based, because misery likes company. You have to get out of your comfort zone and get uncomfortable if you expect change to occur. Let your pain be a motivator. Let your pain lead you to victory. Learn from it. Become a better person from it. So it all comes down to how you respond to things. How do you respond to your pain? How do you respond to this person or that person? Are you honest with yourself? This is where you got to be brutally honest with yourself. And that's uncomfortable, to be brutally honest with yourself, because it makes you feel like a failure. It makes you feel like a piece of shit. But I promise you, if you're brutally honest with yourself, that's where change occurs. What are you listening to? How are you using your mind? So when we get done with this video here, I want you to think about what you're thinking about and focusing on. Are you focusing on the negative? Are you focused on pain avoidance, moving away from the pain? Or are you thinking about taking a stand on your life and challenging yourself and taking some risk and taking a chance and thinking differently? Think in a way you've never thought about before. If you want change to really occur in your life, what are you focusing on? That becomes your reality. We appreciate it. Thank you for the shares. Share these videos out. Tag a friend out there. Leave comments. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, and so hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. If you're not on Facebook, check us out on Facebook. We're Original Privateer. Just type in Original Privateer on Google. You'll find our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and check us out on Instagram. Share this out. I appreciate it. Love you guys. Love life. You can do this. The power is in what you focus on. The power is in how you use your mind. I don't care what it is. I don't care what your past is, what you've been through. You can change your present. You can change your future. But you're going to have to change how you do things, okay? Don't get out of that shower and put on dirty underwear. It doesn't make sense. Love you guys. Thanks a lot.